Hello, it is October 21st, and we're continuing the series on Peter, Simon Peter, the disciple, looking into his life a little bit more and seeing how his life compares to ours. The last session, I talked about just the things that Peter experienced with Jesus, what kind of person he was. He was a fisherman, rough and rugged, and he was called by Jesus, and he experienced many supernatural things at Jesus' right hand. And so this is a great foundation as we delve into more of what has happened. The key verses that I'm really studying and want to go into is where Jesus told them that Satan has desired to sift him like wheat. And so we're going to look at his name today, because in this passage, Jesus uses the name Simon, even though he's already named him Peter. So let's begin. We come to Luke 22 and verses 31 to 32, and I'm going to read those to you. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I've prayed for you, that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. In the Greek, the translation is more accurate in the Amplified version, so I'm going to read that. And Jesus says, Simon, Simon, Peter, listen, Satan has demanded permission to sift all of you like grain, but I prayed especially for you, Peter, that your faith and confidence in me may not fail. And you, once you have turned back again to me, strengthen and support your brothers in the faith. So in this verse, if you happen to have it in front of you, it says that Satan has demanded to sift you. That word, the you there, is plural. So is he referring to all of the disciples? But then Jesus shifts it directly to Peter. But I prayed for you, Peter. So that you is singular in the Greek. So it's interesting to me that Jesus uses the word Simon in referring to that singular you there. He uses Peter's old name, Simon. He does not call him Peter, which means, if remember from before, it means rock, the solid rock. But he uses his previous name, which is Simon. And Simon, the name Simon means listen or hear or listening. And so isn't it interesting that Jesus he says Simon, and he says it twice. Simon, Simon, or in other words, listen, hear what I'm saying. It seems that Jesus is telling Simon, you have to listen to me. He has to hear what Jesus is saying, because, like we said, the name Peter means rock, and that means to be strong and steady. But he's not talking to the rock right now. Jesus is not saying, Peter, the rock. He's saying, listen. Right now, Peter, I need you to be Simon, in that you listen to what I'm saying. It's of more importance right now, because what's it going to help if he's the rock, but he doesn't listen to what Jesus is telling him? You know, Jesus knew Peter. He knew Peter. He knew that there was still some chaff in his life, some stuff within him that still needed sifting and cleansing to clear it out. And so Jesus knew his name, and he used that name, Simon, to speak truth to him. Jesus prayed for him because he knew Simon. He knew where Peter was, where he was at. Just as Jesus knew Peter, he knows you. He knows you intimately because he created you. You know, no one can hide from God. He is everywhere, it tells us in Jeremiah 23:23. Where can man go? What secret place can man go to that he will not find us? He knows your name. You know, a name is extremely precious. When you think about it, reflect on it, think about how many times in your life your name has been spoken. When you were a baby, they called your name got written on your birth certificate. Your mother would call you, your father would call you, your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, grandmas, grandpas, friends. Everybody would call you by name. You go to school, your teacher calls you by name. You begin to write your name. And then it becomes like, you know, every paper you turn in school has to have your name on it. And then college, and then you have to have official documents when you have to have a signature. Your name becomes so important. It becomes you. It becomes who you are. And so names are extremely important. And so here, your name, we see where Peter's name, or when he was called Simon, it had meaning. There was a purpose to it. You know, the Bible tells us, but now thus says the Lord, he who created you, O Jacob, he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for you are mine. I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. And so Jesus knows your name. And he's called you that name. And he's calling you to come to him. And especially during this threshing process, he's calling your name because he knows you. And he knows exactly what you need. He knows exactly what things needs to be flushed out of your life. And so he calls you by name because he knows you.